Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Perth Blue Baggers pod. My name is Louis, your host.
And I'm Marty on special comments.
So in this episode, we'll be reviewing our round 12 clash against Port Adelaide and previewing our round 13 clash against Essendon. So let's get into it.
Good handball on the up. Cripps went to ground, spun around, and it gets over his head. That's a goal.
It was sensational. Zach Butters a quick handball, but the link and the intercept from half back.
Walsh, can Cripps do it again? What is that?
Finish is all class. And on the back of the work rate all night, been in there, in and under. So often he's the one who puts the side on his back, the captain.
The Blues stormed home against Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval, securing 8 goals in the final quarter to turn a close contest into a 36-point victory. The margin was within single digits for the first 3 quarters, but the Blues dominated the last 30 minutes, led by Patrick Cripps with 2 fourth-quarter goals. Tom De Koning was outstanding as he extended his career best season. So a very pleasing win.
Oh, look, this just had to be one of our best wins for the season.
Yep.
I saw a lot of the Blue Baggers, argue whether it was or wasn't. I mean, clearly it was up there. It's one of the best, wasn't it? Everyone knows the story that we'd never beaten an Adelaide team at Adelaide Oval. I think it was many years since we'd beaten Port Adelaide in Adelaide at all. They're a top 4 team. They're hard to beat at home. They can also blow you away easily if you're not careful. And so all of that made this one of our best ever wins for the season. They were missing Rosie, but they still had a very good team. And I think that we're coming into some reasonable form at the moment. We did drop a few games when we had a few injuries, but I think we're building a bit of momentum. And it was one of those games where the outset of the game was a real arm wrestle. I think it was only a goal by Charlie right on quarter time that allowed us to draw level at quarter time.
Yeah.
So it could have been anyone's game. The second quarter was a really tight affair. We had a couple of goals to Kemp and Mackay, but still less than a goal in it at half time. I thought we outplayed them actually a fair bit in the third quarter, kicking 3 goals 5, but without really putting them away. We could have been a bit more accurate in front of goal. We kept them in it a bit. But, gee, what about that last quarter?
Yeah.
I mean, 8 goals won.
Wow.
8 goals won away against the top team. Cripps was amazing in that last quarter in particular. But, everyone stepped in. The intensity for the Blue Boys in that last quarter was amazing. McGowan, Chincotta, they all chipped in goals. One of our favourites, Akers, stepped up. I mean, we just love the way that we're finishing matches at the moment. Really, you want to see your boys run it out well, and they did. They ran it out really strongly. Yep. So I just want to point out too, it was a pretty good weekend for us.
Yeah.
Pretty good weekend. A lot of the teams around us, including the Pies, went down. The Bombers went down. The D's went down. We went from 8th to 5th, and actually we're only 2 points off second place at the moment. So we're right in the mix all of a sudden. Not a bad weekend for us.
Yep. Collingwood saying that that we were out of the 8 is coming back to bite them. So,
well, they're now out of the 8.
Yeah,
they're now out of the 8. They've dropped all the way down to 9th. So that wasn't a great weekend for them, and a few other teams around them won. So they got the fair tailing up too by the Dogs. So
yeah, we kept the receipt. So what were some key aspects that led to this win?
Discussed. We talked about it. The intensity there was really good. I thought that we ran the ball well. We've been, I think there's a bit of analysis been done about when Sard and McGovern in the team, and there's the 2 players we missed. They both had fair chunks out, particularly Sard. When they're in the team, we rebound really well.
Yeah. And
so if a team turns the ball over against us, we really punish them with those 2 in it. And I think they did make a big difference.
Yeah.
Chin Cotter was a really fascinating player. We popped him in the middle. He did defensive role on Butters, and he was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, you got these guys like Jim Cotter and Cowan and others. Boyd, the story with Boyd, he's had a fantastic season. Some of these guys stepped up, and TDK, in the ruck, he just absolutely dominated.
Indeed. So that was very good to see. Any improvements, apart from maybe not putting them away in the third quarter?
I think every time we're a bit inaccurate in front of goal, we keep our opponents in it.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a worry to three-quarter time. The 8 goals won in the last quarter was superb. It probably masked the fact that we hadn't been especially efficient until then. And there's a couple of things. I think Harry missed a bit of a sitter in front of goal that got smothered. And there was a few hearts in mouths sort of stuff earlier in the match. And I think that, I'm still waiting for probably a real 4-quarter game. But I mean, to be fair to the boys on the weekend, when you're playing against a really tough team like Port Adelaide, they're not going to give you a clear run all the time, are they?
Yeah, you can't expect to get a 4-quarter win.
What I really liked about that is we stayed in the hunt, we stuck at the task, and then we pulled away when it really mattered, and that last quarter was just sensational.
Yep. They were a bit inaccurate in the second quarter too, so they could have also done some damage to us. Yes. So they kept us in the game.
Yeah, no, they missed shots as well.
Yeah.
They missed shots as well. I think there's 1 goal 6, I think, in second quarter for the Power. So, they kept us in the game a bit in the second. We kept them in the game a bit in the third, but we didn't let them off the hook in the last.
No. So let's get into notable performances.
Oh, well, look, we're doing the 5-4-3-2-1, and there's 3 players I thought were outstanding. In the end, I've given the 5 to Cripps, Captain Cripps again.
Yeah,
it's just because he at 3-quarter time had been a real arm wrestle back and forth. It had a reasonable, sort of workmanlike but modest performance, but in this last quarter, he just turned the game on its head. 11 touches, kicked the first 2 goals. The first one was magnificent, where he fell over and got back up again and kicked the goal. Just amazing goal. And slotted the second one on a fairly tight angle. 2 massive goals, really get us going. And then we just went after that. But he didn't stop. I mean, he had 11 touches in the last quarter alone.
Yes.
So I'm big on your team needs game winners. And other times it's been Charlie, whatever. This time it was Captain Cripps in the last. Fantastic performance.
Yeah.
4 votes for Sam Walsh. I mean, he could have easily got the 5 himself. Had the most possessions on the ground, 33 disposals. Was consistent. He had a lot of contested possessions this time too. Sometimes people say there's a lot of uncontested possessions, but he got a lot of the tough ball this time. I don't mind uncontested possessions, by the way, because that shows you're running hard and getting into spaces. And that's what he does. He runs really hard. But the other thing I thought was sensational this time was his career high 13 tackles.
Huh.
That's a really gutsy performance when you don't have the footy.
Yeah.
And there's something Michael Voss is really big on. It's how hard you work when you don't have the footy that sets you up. And I thought the boys worked really well, and none more than Sam Walsh. He was just absolutely sensational. So 4 votes for Sam Walsh. 3 votes for TDK. Look, he could have got 5 too. Like I said, I thought there was 3 really outstanding players on the field for us. Just dominated in the ruck. 18 disposals for a ruckman's really good. But he just seemed to be everywhere. 6 clearances, 8 scores involvements. He's just a really dominant player in the field. When TDK's in full flight, he is such a target. And he throws himself at the ball in the contests, and he's very hard to stop. And this was one of those days. So another great game by him. 2 votes for me for Blake Acres. Just love watching him play. Another 21 disposals. Did the Acres thing. He just runs all the time. He gets himself in the right spot. He kicked another really good goal late.
Yeah, sealed it.
The sealing goal. He's just got this habit of kicking sealing goals, I think.
Yeah.
Blake Acres, there's just something about him. But he just works really hard, and he's next to a man wherever he goes. Look, the other fellow, I mean, these top five, I mean, they're just showing the consistency of some of these players. Nick Newman's in the votes again for me. 29 disposals, our second most disposals on the ground, 380 metres gained, 7 intercept possessions. He just rarely plays a bad game, and he was really influential again this time round. So just the last one for me, the underrated player.
Yeah.
I'm just going with Chin Cotter. I just thought he was fantastic. His job on Butters was great. I think he's just got potential to be a really good role player.
Yeah.
What we used to call utility. Someone who is flexible and can play in multiple positions. That was what we lost when we lost Jack Silvani, for instance. He can play in a few different positions. He's not Jack Silvani. He's a different type of player, but he can play down back, or he can perhaps play in a run-with role in the midfield as well.
Or he could go into the forward because he kicked a goal.
He could. Or he could even play on a wing. He's a good runner, and I just like to see him making the most of his chances, and I hope he stays in the side for quite a while.
Yeah.
So, look, there's plenty of other blokes that were good. Elijah Hollins was good again. I mean, how good has pickup has he been?
Yeah.
He's been fantastic. Sard was pretty good. Let's not forget Zach Williams kicked another 3 goals. He seems to be magic up forward.
Charlie better watch out.
Look out. Charlie and Harry, they kicked 3 each. I think one of Harry's was, icing on the cake at the death, but both were pretty good too. Look, it's a lot of winners around the ground, so I think Brody Kemp had a pretty good game as well. He's playing pretty well at the moment too. So there's a lot of good players.
Indeed. Let's get into the preview of round 13 versus Essendon.
And the ricochets with Robinson. And where's Eddie? Walker's got to sit here. Oh, what a screamer. Everyone's up with that one.
Unbelievable. That has to be the best for the year, doesn't it, Tim?
The crowd is stunned.
I reckon Essendon supporters are cheering this. That's the best for the year by a mile.
That was very, very high into the black sky.
Well, always love a big game against the Bombers. Always love a big game. They're second on the ladder, despite losing against the Suns. That's going to be a massive match. Yeah. I mean, the Bombers might have I reckon they've had a bit of a soft draw, to be honest. But look, at the end of the day, they've won 8, lost 3, drawn 1. That's a very good record for the year.
Yeah.
They've been pretty consistent. And, it's always a big match, Carlton versus Essendon at the G.
Yeah.
They're going to have a massive crowd. Goodness knows how many people will turn up. I can't wait. It's going to be fantastic. They'll be a tough team. We've got to play really well to beat them.
Wish we could be there. So, any sort of opposition analysis?
Oh, look, I think that, Jake Stringer is going to be important to stop. He's just a fairly dynamic player. He pops up a fair bit, merits playing well. I think he's probably going to be, there might be a run with role again for Chin Cotter maybe. We've got a few that can do it, Kennedy and Hewitt.
There's also Nick Martin.
Nick Martin's playing well, Look, they've got pretty good players across all of the
Langford.
lines. Langford's, I think that they've improved enormously this year. I reckon, though, our form is actually a bit better than theirs. I know that they've won a lot of matches apart from Gold Coast, but I think that we're playing a bit better than them, and I hope I'm right.
Yep. So let's go into our predictions.
Yeah, look, I'm going to predict us by 19 points. I think we're just I reckon we'll win this one, and I reckon we'll win it reasonably comfortably.
I reckon I'll go 9 points. I think they'll show a bit of fight, obviously, because it's a rivalry. So, we could kick away from them like we did past few weeks.
Well,
I guess.
Yeah. Look, the other thing to remember, we haven't had any injuries lately, which is good.
Oh, yeah.
Last couple, I know Pitnet, I think he did his finger a game or two ago, but not a lot has changed, and we're probably getting a little bit closer to getting a few more of those players back. Jesse Mottler played again. I think he just still needs a bit more time in the Magoos. But I think Chera and Cottrell are two players we're very much looking forward to getting back. Yeah. I don't think we'll see them until after the bye. Myself, probably Cunningham too. Whether he walks straight back into the team, I'm not sure. Probably doesn't.
Not sure if we need him.
Yeah, not sure. But I think, Chera adds that class in the midfield, and Cottrell, we just love him because he runs all day and works so hard, and he makes things happen for other players. I think we've mentioned Fogarty in the past. He's that kind of guy that makes everyone else play better.
Yep.
And we continue that good record with him in the team.
Another thing to note, Jack Carroll had a pretty big game in the VFL.
Yeah, I think it was our best on ground for us.
30-odd disposals. So he might make a case to not to be the sub and play the whole game.
Well, the funny thing is he came on, played the sub, and then backed up a couple of days later in the VFL.
He only had like 19% game time or something.
That's true. But you don't always play in the AFL and then play in the VFL the same weekend, even as sub. But I think he needed game time because I think he played sub a couple of weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Which means you're not getting a lot of game time, But it's good to see. We need some depth. What worries me a little bit is I don't think our twos, Colton team in the VFL are playing that well at the moment, which probably means that there's not a lot of players beating down the door to come in. But the better news is that the AFL team is playing quite well at the moment.
Yeah.
So maybe we don't need to worry.
Which is more important. So that will do us. Thank you for watching episode 5 of the Perth Blue Baggers pod. If you have any thoughts about the game, please comment below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram. Thank you. Up the Baggers.
Calm the Blues.